Hi everyone, Ronald Ingram here, your rebel banker futurist, broadcasting live right now from the Nevada high desert, looking down on the Luxor Pyramid. We're going out on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, anywhere else the signal reaches. I've had a series of meetings with Google and the XPRIZE team as we gear up for the XPRIZE competition, the $2 million XPRIZE competition with cash prizes, not credits, cash between 50K and 500K, total $2 million. Very exciting and very interesting process. I've been able to participate in several meetings that have been very helpful, and also kind of building confidence building. We won't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we are. What I learned today about this XPRIZE hackathon is simple and quite important. The judges want to know how competing projects impact society. Oh, did I forget to everybody, welcome everybody with the benediction, live long and prosper? There we are. Can't start without that. So what made me think about this was one of the really interesting aspects to the dialogue that I've been having with judges, well, not with judges, but with the various leaders in support people in preparing contestants in this process to compete for this $2 million XPRIZE, and that is that there's a real interest in understanding the social impact of how these projects are potentially affecting society. And I've been so focused on kind of the mechanics of qualifying, because they're pretty steep to in less than 90 days to build from scratch a new business and product line and launch and generate revenue with real customers with a real product and show real traction. Those mechanics are quite many startups take months and years to to generate revenue, never mind a profit. So when I get into it, you'll see we're doing very well. I'm very pleased. Thank you everyone for buying in and supporting this project. And there's some really simple things, and supporting yourself. And that's what's really cool, because the thing that I think that judges are looking at with this, more than just the code, which is a challenge enough, and to top it all off, to do all of this with AI, and particularly a native AI. The competition is open to native AI companies only, and so that they may have more than one person, but they are built from the ground up with AI, like us. So that's a very rare. We're still in a very rare. Everyone's talking about the concept of zero-person enterprises, but we're actually shipping. We're doing it, and it seems clear from what I'm seeing. We're among very few that are there are many contestants, many applicants, but I don't think that there's that many that have met the high hurdles that we've cleared. However, those hurdles are just the beginning. The next step, and this was a pleasant surprise, because you all know, if you don't know, if you're joining us for the first time with this POCK talk, this is more about crypto. This is more about digital assets. This is more about more than health. This is more than wealth. This is about self-sovereignty. Everything that we're doing is about, we have 5 core values: privacy, security, Self-sovereignty, meaning freedom, meaning property rights, meaning owning your own self, owning your own body, what you put into your body, owning your own assets, owning your own property, making your own choices. Self-sovereignty is right in the middle of those 5 core values, 2 on either side. The next 2 are innovation, which also have to do a lot with freedom to create. If there are too many regulations, too many obstacles, and you wind up with situations like you have in some countries where you have to ask permission to innovate, where you have to ask permission to start a business. Or to some degree, that's true in every developed nation. You have to have business licenses and things like that. However, in some nations, it is almost impossible. In other nations, it's getting more and more difficult. Like in Europe, I understand from entrepreneurs there, in many nations, it's more and more difficult, unless you happen to be one of the chosen few that the government has sanctioned to say, you go ahead and you start a business and you've got all the necessary credentials, or we like your ideology and we want you to start a business. Then maybe a path is cleared for you. But otherwise, especially if you're a rebel, you the odds are stacked against you from the beginning if you desire to start your own thing and create your own business and invent your own thing and launch it and see it realized in the real world. So that's what innovation in our 5 core values is about. It's about the freedom to innovate and create and invent. And invention, actually, that goes along with patent laws and things like that, which do require laws and government to support. And that is probably, in my worldview anyway, that is one of the functions that government is useful for is to enforce contracts and fair, basic, fundamental human rights and laws. So the final one is community, and again, this ties into the freedom aspect too. And community, the aspect of community that we're really about is scalable. And actually, this is going to tie in, right? It's scalable even at the individual level. I'm going to finish this with the 5 core values first before I get into that. But the community, that goes right from you as an individual to your family, to your extended family, to your community, to your company, to your professional organizations, to all the different, many of us are involved in many different communities. I'm involved in Stand with Crypto and Crypto Monday and that are for decentralized finance. I'm a member of, many would see this to be on the opposite side of the coin, perhaps, the Bankers Institute as a faculty member, educating bankers, 1,800 financial institutions on crypto and artificial intelligence and how to be prepared, because I do want banks to be prepared to protect your assets from the quantum threats and all the different threats that are out there. In particular, the one that everyone is talking about in the context of Bitcoin, when they should be talking about it in the context of banking, is the harvest now, hack later threat that's brought on not only by quantum computing, but by artificial intelligence. We've seen with Mythos and Fable anecdotes of and data relating to breaches and codes being cracked just with AI, and with computing, with the state of the art computing where it is right now, not even with quantum computing. But AI is also accelerating the pace of quantum computing, and quantum computing was deemed to be the greatest threat in this harvest now, hack later dynamic, where everyone's personal information and banking information is being harvested to be hacked when the technical capability exists. And when exactly that day is going to come, nobody knows. We just saw that we don't have the luxury of Y2K, and Y2K, everyone knew the date, at least, the threat was supposed to arise. With this one, we don't know. It might be tomorrow. More likely, it's a year or two off, or 18 months off. NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology, that sort of sets standards and guidelines that most government regulators pay attention to and promulgate through through all of the entities that they regulate suggests that institutions need to have a plan and a path in place now to prepare for the quantum threat known as Q-Day. But I digress. So those are our 5 core values, and so that from the get-go has been a huge part of what we're doing, in particular particularly related to how those things interplay with private property and banking rights. I think that everyone should have a constitutional right. They don't, but I think that everyone should have a constitutional right to bank and transact. It's necessary to live in modern society. Everyone deserves the right to have access to banking and transacting and payments, whether that's in new novel neobanks or whether that's traditional legacy banking. People have a right to be able to do that. And if the regulations are so onerous as to prevent banks from opening accounts for certain people, then it's the regulations that are at fault. The regulations are the barrier then to preventing people from what I believe should be a constitutional right. So so we've had this very clear mission that involves some pretty serious actions, including including a complete reinvention of the banking system. I refer to our master project that is some ways off in the distance, the global agentic banking system. So combining a few different things: global, combining agentic, where I as many believe that agents will handle more and more artificial intelligence, robotic entities, robots even in physical form, but artificial intelligence and these agents will handle more and more of our work, including our day-to-day tasks, including even finance, a lot of which is quite mundane, bookkeeping and transacting and reconciling accounts, but very important to our livelihood, important to our very existence in modern society. So that is, so right now, banking as it has been for the last 95 years, not that it's been static, it's actually been getting worse over the last 95 years, to this situation where control is concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. 6, in fact, in Switzerland, who rotate in and out, but 6 permanent members of a board of 18 who direct and advise all the central banks in the world on their policies. Even the Federal Reserve takes direction and guidance from this central entity. So I'm not really for that. I think that is conducive to self-sovereignty. So everything that we're doing is designed to disrupt that. And I'm not afraid to say that. That's why they called me the rebel banker. And we want to invert this, what I call high table, and give everybody a seat at the table. And we're doing this one step at a time. The first step was POCK. The second step, which is the real business end, is BROK. And that's the part, that's the utility, that's the business that we are submitting to the XPRIZE Foundation and Google for a large prize, we hope. And we meet all the technical requirements, and I think we might meet this other requirement, which I've been getting to, which is about what is this doing for society? So it's very clear what our intent is for society on the grand scale, but on a day-to-day scale, there's something that you can do today that is something that I can demonstrate by Monday, the 17th, when final submissions are due. And intentionally, we wait to the last minute because our revenue has been increasing from BROK every single day. Thank you, everyone. Obviously, people are seeing the utility and the value, and buying into the vision and the mission, which is not only noble, it is in something you might consider to be enlightened self-interest. And that's kind of what free market capitalism and free enterprise is about, is that we actually do, when we follow our own, develop our own talents to their maximum, when we become the best versions of ourselves, we naturally are, not all of us, but many of us, I think majority of us, have some level of altruism in there, where we want to give back, we want to support. And if not, then we may want to take a closer look at ourselves. And that is part of that, something that's built into BROK, that it turns out, I think, is something that is going to be quite appealing to the judges. So long time getting around to this. What it is the two things: the Ingram Enneagram. Actually, more than two things, three things, more than three things. But one of them, though, that I haven't really talked about very much, is the Ingram Enneagram. It's a personality test, right? Essentially, that's in its simplest form. It's a personality test. And I put that at the top of the links in the description tonight, because I would really like it, for your own benefit, for you to click on that and try it out. It's if you have never opened BROK yet, when you click on the link, you get more than enough tokens to do. You could do 50 tests if you wanted to, and you wouldn't run out of tokens. And I think that test may only be one token. Some of them are 2 tokens, but 1 to 2 tokens, right? Which is less than a penny each, right? And you get 100 tokens right now, just for clicking on the link. So you actually can try out all these things. They can talk to BROK, and if you turn on the avatar and the voice, you'll burn through tokens fairly quickly, though. But if you buy $10 now, or if you subscribe for $10, you get a ton of tokens. You get tokens now at market price, at today's market price. So that's even $10 per month. I'll give you a ton of tokens. And I don't want to talk about this. I made a change to the system. That is, those who have looked at it really like it. It's really, really novel. Who would think something as simple as a subscription model that you could innovate and turn a subscription into something, rather than hating. I mean, who loves subscription fees, right? Who loves monthly fees that you pay for everything these days? I don't think many of us do, right? And it's they're always on a use it or lose it basis. You pay $100, you pay $50, whatever it is, you pay for it, whether you use it or not. And some of them, they even kind of make it hard for you to cancel, don't they? Well, with us, I flipped this around just in the last week. So when you subscribe, this is the utility of SPOCK, right? SPOCK is not just a crypto. It's not just a digital asset. And that's and I say just digital asset. I mean, some people, that's all they care about. Like, there are probably more than half the people that have SPOCK to this moment are care first and foremost about the crypto. So we're seeing this really interesting transition, and where we're starting to see more and more the meme people are the meme sort of hardcore meme mentality, crypto orientation. They're seeing this as, and they should start to see this as, this is not the same thing. This is a different kind of class of asset. It really is a different class of asset. It is, by definition, a different class of asset, right? And then we've got a whole new wave of people that are coming in for utility first, because this is genuinely a breakthrough technology. BROK is a breakthrough technology that is designed to be it's unlike these generic models and generic AI that's all things to everyone and doesn't get to know you and forgets about who you are, and we're surprised, pleasantly surprised, and somebody says, oh, that's not true. ChatGPT remembered I drive this model of truck because I mentioned it once, right? Well, they ChatGPT and others, they compress past conversations, and some nuggets stick, but most of it's lost, right? And so it's a bit haphazard, and it's not intentionally it's not focused. BROK is focused on two things, so that gives BROK a bit of an advantage. Uses all the best tools, but it's focused on two primary things: health and wealth, and things that are and all the things that relate to that, which are quite a few, but it's less than everything, right? So those two things, health and wealth, I mean, that covers accounting, that covers finance, that covers legal, that covers intellectual property, that covers audits and auditing and everything that CFOs and the accounting professions look after. That covers compliance and all of these things. All, let me clearly state, for the BROK does this on the base as an assistant for education and research. BROK is not a lawyer, is not a CPA, is not a financial advisor. Nothing that I provide even here is financial advice. This is all research and development and education, fantastic education for financial literacy. And again, back to what I'm hearing from out of the XPRIZE leadership and the Google leadership, is that we're looking at what's the positive impact that your project has. Well, our positive impact that our project has, I think, is pretty clear. We're providing people financial literacy tools and all these things that I talk about usually in these talks. But I don't usually talk that much about the Ingram Enneagram, this personality test. And it's kind of important to know who you are, know your purpose before you think about money or talk about. We're all thinking about money a lot, not all the time, hopefully, but especially if you don't have it, you're thinking about it. And then unfortunately, a lot of people, when they have it, they're thinking about how to protect it and keep from losing it. The most healthy way to think about it is how to grow it and also be prudent and wise and be balanced in all that you do with it. So really the starting point, and I should maybe now's the time to bring this to your attention, is that little test that costs you nothing, it's free, is carefully crafted to be the simplest Enneagram test ever, in a way. 8 simple questions, but they're not really simple questions. I'll warn you, okay? That's probably, I find that this test generates some cognitive dissonance for people. And this is intentionally so, because there's words mixed together. So there's just 8 questions that you need to answer. And from that, the test will tell you what your predominant type is. And I'll get to the moment. This is not pigeonholing you into a certain thing. I want to say that at the outset, because I dislike personality tests for exactly that reason. But many swear by it and think it's the only way. And you can use it to do that, to get sort of a definition, a label, if you want, right? And who wants to be labeled as one thing? I don't. So, but that is, really kind of the purpose for a lot of these tests, but not in our case. So anyway, these 8 questions, they have a lot of words, and they're not all synonyms for the same thing, right? Some of them are quite contrasting and quite difficult. So you have to go through each one of those 8 questions with all of these different words, and some of them will create an attraction to you, like that you feel a real pull. Others might create a revulsion and an aversion, and it's like, oh, why is that question even in there, perhaps? And that is all good. So if you just go with how you feel, how that question makes you feel, and pick the ones that are the best fit. Really simple. It takes 15 minutes. And then you can go away from that and then do a deeper dive with BROK and ask all kinds of questions. And what's really cool about the Enneagram, it will tell you what your Riso Hudson. That's most people, if they've heard of the Enneagram, they know their type, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm this or that," right? And so the Enneagram is different. It maps to the normal Riso Hudson Enneagram tests. It maps to that, so you will know what your Riso Hudson Enneagram type is. If anybody asks you, and your friends have done it before, but especially your friends that have, anybody that's ever done an Enneagram test, or anybody that wants to do a personality test, this is really fun. And here's one of the reasons why, is that it's a development tool. It's not a pigeonholing tool. It's a development tool. And ask Brock about this if you want to go deeper into it. And this is one of the things that that is appreciated, I think, about our project, and that the positive impact that it can have on people, because it does have this emphasis. It's one of the first things I built was this Ingram Enneagram, or the Enneagram test, because I've always said, the strategic fit, right? In the Ingram evaluation matrix, there's 4 things: strategic fit, feasibility, financial impact, and risk. Well, that strategic fit really is almost entirely dependent on who you are, what you have, resources available to you, but who you are and what you want, sort of your purpose and your meaning in life. And this is something that society is coming to grips with as we enter the singularity economy. Whether you're of the abundance mindset, as I am, that the singularity economy, if you're on the right side of that, that's going to bring you tremendous opportunities for abundance. This is the futurist in me speaking. And Peter Diamandis and most futurists are actually, I think, kind of unusually, when I think of it, in a positive mindset right now. It used to be like Alvin Toffler and many futurists were a little bit more dystopian in their views, but there's a little bit, I think we're all leaning a little bit more utopian. And both are fallacies. There's never a perfect utopia or dystopia. Those are opposite ends of the spectrum. The middle place is the sweet spot, that K word in the middle. So anyway, this test is actually where you should start before you start your money journey and figuring out how you're going to make your billions, or preserve your nest egg, or build your empire, or protect your legacy for your family, or whatever your goals are, right? They're all different. And this is what a good financial advisor, someone that really gets to know you, they should get to know you in order to be able to advise you. They need to get to know you, but it takes time and money, and usually only a very, very small percentage of people are able to afford the luxury of having someone intelligent help them and guide them, someone wise, even better, intelligent and wise, guide them, who thinks a little bit more holistically as well, and thinks about their health and wealth. And we're starting to get, really, there is no banker like that, right? So the idea of the super robo genius private banker, that's why it's so kind of over the top, right, with the adjectives, because there is no banker like Brock, really. I mean, it's just too much, right? The spectrum is too wide, but it's narrow enough that AI can handle it, and it can handle it without ego, and it can handle it where you are the sovereign. And the AI's job is to help you grow your empire and preserve your assets, but also in these other softer areas to get to know you. So the personality test takes you 15 minutes, costs you nothing. In fact, in a sense, you could say we're paying you to try it out, right? Because you're getting 100 free tokens to utilize all of these different services. And there are others that too, right? Which we won't talk about so much today, but the business canvas, absolute essential for anybody that is going to do an incubator program or get accepted into an incubator program, or after they get accepted into the incubator program, if they haven't done a business canvas before, they will almost certainly be asked to do it. And because it's a very effective way to create a business plan that can be explained on a single page through a series of questions, again, that 15 questions in this case. And so Brock will take you through those questions. And that's, super expensive though, right? 2 tokens. That's like, that might be twice as much as the Enneagram, right? The Enneagram is only 1 token. This is 2 tokens. So it's double the price. So think about that and think about carefully, right? Manage your pennies. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that's less than a penny. Okay, don't worry about it. So just go ahead. And if you have ever had an inkling to learn more about what venture capitalists look at, and angel investors, and want to raise money or get grants, that is the most essential tool. So that's why it's in the mix. So I try to like really not waste people's time with ancillary spurious things, and just sort of like really keep things as laser focused as possible, and the things that will make the biggest impact, get the biggest bang for your 1/10 of the penny. So that's a neat tool. The biological age calculator is another one that people are using, actually, that I think that the judges are going to really like, because it has a very positive social impact, because we shouldn't only be focused on, you do what you want to do. Okay, I shouldn't, sounding a bit preachy here. Do what you want to do, as long as you do no harm to anyone else. For your own self, though, well, for myself, well, I want to know what's going on, because what gets measured gets done. Well, that old saying, well, what gets measured in your body gets attended to. You look after that too. So it really is quite an eye opener, and it's not always good, and that's good too, because when I started my journey, my biological age was 70 plus years old. That was living the banker lifestyle of too much time in entertaining and whining and dining, and not enough exercise, and too many politics, and backstabbing, and not me backstabbing, me defending against backstabbers, and predatory, unscrupulous people, right? That's just, I still deal with that, but now I'm better prepared because my biological age is 41.6. Yeah, let that sink in. That's after, so the blood test, the blood work that I did, and I had much cruder tools. I had to build my own tools and do my own research, and Levine was one of the Dr. Levine, a PhD statistician, I believe, one of the smartest people in the biohacking field. His work was the kind of the basis for a lot of what a lot of biohackers use for measuring their biological age, their age according to biomarkers like glucose levels and CRP, C-reactive proteins, which measures inflammation levels, and your blood. A lot of emphasis on your blood and measurements to do with your blood. All of that is, and the technical terms also are defined in the tool as well. There's tool tips, so you can see what all these words mean. And but you don't need to. You can just take your blood test, and none of this is medical advice. This is just for research. And there's a disclaimer on when you go to that calculator as well. And just you select the PDF from you could do it on your phone even, and it'll generate beautiful graphics, beautiful report, and it'll tell you what your biological age is according to the Levine age. And if you are already on the path, and you start to experience benefits of increased testosterone, and your body fat is already standard to better than average to better than average, these types of, you've already done some work, then you can use the recalibrated test that's based on Levine, but with a few adjustments that make sense, like using your A1C instead of your glucose levels to measure your insulin resistance and things like that. Okay, so those are if nothing else, just doesn't it make sense to know where you're at, right? Whether it's good or bad, maybe some people don't want to know. I like to know. And I think a lot of the folks here we've got a lot of interesting, inquisitive people on this project. You're probably, if you're listening, you're one of those inquisitive, curious people that have already, you know, and many of you have already done this test, which is very good for our project. I think judges are going to like that. And not only do you do the test, but same thing, once you've done the test, many of you go on to talk to BROK. And then you learn about things that different modalities, different research that's out there for education. And then you can talk to your doctor about changing a protocol or using the Ingram protocol. My protocol is already out that's going to be in my book. That whole protocol is pretty well there on Substack, which you can get for free. Although paid subscriptions are always appreciated. But you know what? Put your subscription into SPOCK, because I didn't finish that story about what I did to innovate on the subscription side. But let's just finish off with this Enneagram, okay? Anyone that's listening to this, do it, and maybe this is the way to share it with your friend. We've done very well with the sharing is caring and giving the gifts, that which also looks good. Again, because I didn't know that this was going to be such a big part of the test. I should have. They do say that part of the way that they measure these projects is based on the impact. Well, think about all these things that I'm talking about are impactful. And the sharing and caring program, where we're giving, many people are giving small gifts, right? For two reasons. I mean, one is it may seem insignificant, but we have seen 10,000% increases before, you know, from early days, and scaling is scalable. Order of magnitude jumps are possible with institutional, with any kind of projects like that. It is one of the attractions to crypto. Yes, there's all the risk, but people aren't taking the risk just to completely throw away their money. There is the 1 out of 100 that is, you know, even if it's a casino, right? The meme casino, some people call it. There are those winners, and those winners are big, right? So we're kind of taking out the de-risking that whole equation quite a bit, but all the upside is there. Every bit of upside is there that you would have with your meme mentality crypto world. We've seen it before, and there's more reason that we would see it again than any of the other projects that I've seen out there, in my 100% biased point of view. So, however, we have definitely, I can say, de-risked compared to, you know, the known scams where you know that when you buy a meme coin, or you should know. And that's the problem, is when people don't know that with most meme coins, they're taking a pretty big gamble. With this is not a gamble. This is a serious business, and you're not investing in the business. You're when you buy SPOCK, but you are investing in a digital asset. I can say investing. Read the guidance from the CFTC and the SEC, March 17th, and the following memo, April 28th, that named digital assets like Doge and Bitcoin and XRP, and clearly SPOCK slots right in there. Meets a couple of different definitions. It's a digital asset. It's also a digital commodity, and it's also a digital utility token. So in any case, it's not a security, and it's not a cryptocurrency. So that allows us to have the easiest onboarding experience that you'll ever have in crypto. So anyway, the sharing is caring program, the gift giving is going very, very well, and keep doing that. However, let's try this. Let's get more people engaged in getting to know their personality. That's fun. You can say, hey, I'm a whatever you are. I'm a physician, or that's one of the types in the Enneagram. And then you can do it more than once too. So do it when you're in a different mood. So do it when you're in a calm mood, sitting down in the morning with your cup of coffee, and then do it when you're frazzled at work or something. Hopefully you're not frazzled at work, or when you're in different mindsets, or when you're angry, or when you're filled with love, when you've just meditated. Interesting to see if your answer is, well, usually tend to be pretty similar, but they might be different. And then a really fun one is to show the test to somebody else and to ask them how they think you would answer. So you sit down with them and you say, which one do you think I would pick? Which one do you think I would pick? Which one do you think I would pick? And see what type they think you are. And there's additional information that I'm going to share and release, and more tools that relate to expanding on the Enneagram. But for now, just as the test is, you can do that and play with it. You can save your results and maybe just make a note of each one, like what the conditions were when you did that test, or whether it was somebody else's perspective on you or not. And then all those things, those specific things that I gave to you will be useful. And here's why: because I said that the Enneagram test is a test about your evolution. It's not a test about, this is your label and you're born with it. It's your destiny. It's your fate. You're never going to change. Now, some people will argue, fate, nature over nurture, and fate and destiny and these types of things, way beyond the scope of this POCK talk, but very interesting topics and very debatable. Whether you think it's fixed or not, in the Enneagram model, and I believe this to be true, that we think that each one of us has all of those types, all 9 types. And this is why so many of the mythologies, whether you believe that they were literally true or complete fabrications and fairy tales. Well, fairy tales and fables also tell you a great deal about consciousness, and psychologists and deep thinkers Jung studied fables, and many psychologists have studied fables and fairy tales, and one of the most ancient tales in the world is likely the Jack and Beanstalk. Its origins, if you trace some of these fairy tales back, how far back they go, it's quite fascinating. Back to Sumerian times and before, and they're connected to tree of life themes and immortality themes, and just all kinds of really interesting psychological constructs that seem like they're hard-coded, hardwired into our consciousness. And most of us go about our lives without any awareness of these circuit boards that are kind of directing us. And what the Enneagram is intended to do is to help you be a programmer for yourself, and to be aware of the programs that are already running inside of you. And with that knowledge, you can be, maybe if the fatalists and people believe in destiny and fate, and our destiny is already determined, even in that case, at least you would be a conscious participant in this fate, right? Whether you could change it or not, who knows? That is such an interesting question. But I won't share my theories on that today. But quadrivalent logic is the answer. I'll give you that nugget. So learning your type and learning to see yourself different ways, being aware of these different aspects of your personality unlocks potentially, so that you'll remember, like meme style, superpowers. Find out what your inner superpowers are and unlock those superpowers. How cool would that be, right? So you notice how each one of the archetypes, these gods, like Loki comes to mind, right? In Norse mythology, he has these tremendous, he can bring great gifts, but he also brings great tricks, right? And not so great tricks. And this whole trickster is one common archetype that you see throughout all and it's also connected with commerce and trade and trading and communication. And so that's the other neat thing, is that I did the deep work, which you can find out once you find your type, talk to BROK, you can find out all the archetypes that are related to your predominant type and your shadow type, which is the type that's opposite your type, that you think there's no part of you, perhaps. So you're so a part of you that you think has no part of you whatsoever. That's often our Achilles heel, and that is appropriate. That connects to the meaning of that myth, of that tale. So it's important to know your Achilles heel, and that's what the Enneagram will also help to do. So help you to, and if a manipulator gets a hold of your Achilles heel, they can manipulate you. And that's the other thing that BROK is all about, right? Is be your protector. So you need to know your own. You need to be protected from cons. You need to know more about how you can be conned, right? And so the Enneagram is really an important place. I shied away from it before in prior conversations because there's a lot to it, right? But you can see how it is always been meaningful. And I think today in particular, and with this XPRIZE, actually there's monetary incentive associated with it. And right here and now, and for the long term, and for all of us. So for this project and for all of us. So get to know yourself. There's a really good benefit to it, and it isn't as simple as it would seem on the surface. And that's how we get to understand if there is a meaning and a purpose for us, right? Which is the deeper questions. And then we're going after our goals with a lot more confidence in who we are and what we really want and what we're prepared to do and how meaningful it is in our lives. So do it. So try it out and share it with somebody. So instead of sharing a gift, say, hey, try this test out and let's compare notes. So that's a fun thing that you can do with a family member and start there. And let's give that some room to breathe. So what else? So I think that bottom line, I think that we are in good shape with the XPRIZE. I think we've got a few days left, and it was quite inspiring. It's quite encouraging, actually. I think a lot of people were some of the other developers from other comments and chat and stuff. They were despairing. It's like, oh, there's not enough time left. Well, the leader for the facilitator for the call for the XPRIZE, they are a seasoned hacker, and many of the hackathons, and they explained how many of the hackathons that they've been part of are like 48. I've been in part of hackathons like this as well that are like 48 hours or like a weekend long, right? So he said, you've got 4 days left. That's plenty of time. So, we also can't be complacent. There are 4 days is time for people to catch up to us, and or it's time for us to get light years ahead. So let's engage our engines and go and engage the warp drive and full speed ahead to further engagement. We've got all the pieces, so let's just really put the icing on the cake here. And I'm really stacking up my metaphors here. Sorry for that. And we'll be in really good shape. So some other things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I didn't even quite finish the subscription piece. So we all hate subscriptions normally, right? Well, with the subscription, with the change that I made to the subscription, we have two discounted tiers right now: the $9.99 or $9 or $10, and the $49 level subscription level, the Pro level, and which is both of those are discounted for now. And when I made this change, first email I got was, I don't see an easy upgrade path, because it actually makes sense now if you, especially for the people that get both sides of this equation, the crypto, the potential for this digital asset to overperform, when they get that potential, they've already got that part of it, and then they get the utility part that gives us this really, really, really long runway with some big, huge milestones, each one of which is almost like an entirely new business, like the Neo score that we're going to have coming out later this year, a global scoring system that gives people ownership of their data as an alternative to traditional credit scoring. That is the necessary next step prior to global agentic banking. You know, that milestone, imagine the impact that can have as a business, and that is a huge business on its own. So imagine the impact that has to the market capitalization of SPOCK, which is the utility, the singularity fuel, the digital asset that fuels all of these financial tools, like the Ingram valuation matrix, and these smaller tools like that are very important too, like the Ingram NeoBanx that I just talked about. So this subscription. Every time that your subscription transaction goes through, so the $9 or the $49, what is actually happening is you are buying more SPOCK tokens, right? So if you don't use those if you use those tokens, great. What are you using them to do? You're using them hopefully primarily to get healthier and wealthier. Good, that's a good use. And most of these tools are, you know, very, very, very minuscule in price, less a fraction of a penny in most cases at present. So that's a good use of those tokens. But if you don't use those tokens at all, if you're if you have the meme mentality and you're crypto maximalist, you don't care about the utility, you just want the digital asset aspect, and you're just following those charts every day, then you're going to love you're still going to love the subscription, because that's going to give you, in a sense, digital. You might have heard of dollar cost averaging. It's something that's often used in investment markets. So rather than taking a big lump sum and putting it in and hoping that you're buying at a low and you're not buying at a top and then it goes down, or you're timing it just right. Dollar cost averaging means that you're just automatically, no matter what, every month you're buying a certain amount of that security, right? We're not a security, we're a digital asset. But a digital asset, you could do the same thing. And so that's what we're doing with the subscription, is that every time your subscription is actually a subscription for tokens. So your tokens are accumulating. So it'd be like as if you had your AT&T bill and you only used $50 of your $150 data plan. And does AT&T give you $100 back? No, they don't. You use it or lose it, right? So that would be good enough. But imagine if instead of getting getting your unused cash back, for services that you paid for that didn't use, imagine if instead of that you're getting AT&T stock. In this case, you're getting the digital asset called SPOCK, which is scarce, right? And so I can't predict future value. I'm not, we don't predict future values, and this is not a security. This is not investment advice. Do your own research. But with digital assets, you know that if they're scarce, like Bitcoin, that is a protection, gives you protection against inflation. More SPOCK can't be printed. The SPOCK that was created, the 997 million SPOCK that was created, is never going up. It's only going down, and as services are consumed and tokens are burned. And so that creates embeds a baked-in scarcity, right? So it's a hedge from that perspective. It is by definition a hedge against inflation. So that's pretty cool. So instead of So now you should be happy. You're happy either way. If you use BROK, you're getting access to the smartest banker in the world, from my totally biased point of view. Okay, so I just like to say some. Okay, I'm allowed to say that, as long as I tell you that I'm totally biased. But I think that it really doesn't have a lot of comparison points, does it? So you're getting access to that, and if you don't use it, then you're accumulating digital assets, and you're reducing the risk that you're buying high and selling low. You're averaging in, which is a way to you're going to get some of the dips along the way too. So it's a good way, a smart way, that's generally considered to be a smart way to go about it. If for people, especially if you're, well, just for anyone really, it's a good way to enter to accumulate a position in an asset. Okay, so finish that point. There's some licensing deals going on. This is early stage, but I'll share this one. Another AI company that has a very, I don't think I'll mention the name at this point. Actually, I just signed an NDA, so I can't. But I can tell you about the concept. An AI company that has polished marketing geared towards institutions, and a really good pitch, a stellar board, all the credentials, the story, the narrative, the marketing, as I said several times, but no engine. So they haven't been able to deliver what we have, right? So talking to the company, and there's a couple of companies like this. So if you think that I'm talking about you, I might not be. But if one of the companies is listening, but BROK has exactly, and I think that our marketing is sort of our more cultural, community, grassroots structure that's more fun, and with the whole, it's just more cutting edge, maybe too innovative for the normal sort of corporate structure that a lot of people are enamored with. Not me, as you can tell. But fine, we put our engine in there, and that could be we keep all of our intellectual property, and under a licensing agreement, it's just BROK inside, right? With the whole Beam, whatever components of Beam they want to use. The Beam is the BROK engagement activation machine, so they may not need much of the Beam, but they will need actually like the ledger and vault and all the accounting functions. And then there's other companies that have also similar, different companies that are unexpectedly, this has gone way beyond the original conversations were all just about banking and how we've made, and this is still applicable, and this is still easy and core. But I'm just responding to opportunities as they present themselves, right? That for what we already have built. So the Ingram evaluation matrix was originally designed to make lending explainable, or lending decisions, banking decisions, easier and more rigorous and explainable for regulators who want to understand why a decision is made, and make sure that it's not a black box decision where there's no understanding and maybe mistakes are being made, or maybe there's biases that are creeping in that shouldn't be there, right? So the Ingram evaluation matrix, again, strategic fit, feasibility, financial impact, and risk. That boils, all AI information can be boiled down into that, and then subcategories that fall into those 4 immutable categories, to make it quite easy to understand and explain to a regulator, and internally for bankers to discuss amongst themselves. Credit committees, management, board members can also be used for business decisions, acquisition decisions, divestitures, all kinds of different things, looking at a portfolio of projects and products, which ones to prioritize in the singularity economy, which seems chaotic. to many people that aren't used to this pace of change, and who is there. We haven't ever seen this pace of change in any industry, and never mind all industries all at once everywhere. So so we're finding that there's new applications. Another one was, I wrote an article on Audit the Auditors, and I think some CEOs really like this idea of being able to of having another inexpensive way to keep tabs on everything that's going on the finances of their business independently of their account. They're not going to fire their CFOs, or maybe they will. Maybe they're going to catch some bad CFOs or accountants that aren't asleep at the wheel. And it's happened, right? It happens. I've experienced it myself. And so it'll be good for accountants to keep them on their toes. And the good ones are going to be like, they're going to get kudos, and they maybe use the tool themselves, right? And it's going to reduce everyone. It's going to give good accounts are going to get more credit, and bad accounts are going to be out of there, which is good for everybody, good for the nation, good for the community, and good for everybody, and good for that accountant too, because maybe they're in the wrong profession. So that is, and I don't hate accountants, by the way. I've got lots of great ones. But yeah, no, generally we've become too overly reliant on experts, I would say, in our society. We've seen where that gets us. Trillions of dollars of fraud, potentially waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere. Money laundering by NGOs, not by all the heavy AML laws that are out there. Who are the worst offenders? NGOs, without a doubt, by dollar value. So non-governmental organizations, right, which is a fancy way of saying government affiliates, government affiliated organizations. Anyway, so also the trading systems, family office we have, let's just say, lots of good traction. I don't want to make announcements before before things are. It's just not the right time to say anything more about that. But we're working on institutional deals still, which take much longer time. But that's the kind of thing where suddenly your trades, the trading in SPOCK digital asset values are, where it's hundreds to thousands, it's thousands to tens of thousands, or tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, right? So that's the kind of that's why I say that you trade in incremental ranges, and then it's not like the digital assets are not securities, and they don't behave like securities. They can go through these leaps, stair-step changes, where it goes like this, and then it goes boom, you hit another level, and then it goes like this, and then it hits another level. That's there's new paradigms, new trading patterns, and I've been with my agentic stack, with our agentic stack, we've been analyzing this and found some really cool edges. Also, a lot of disinformation that we're going to shed light on, and so we've got people that are signed. You can sign up now to get on the list for the NABU newsletter. NABU being the prototype, the original Hermes, if you will, or Mercury, and the oldest version that we know of. So, and all that stuff relates to the types of the Enneagram. So that's kind of interesting. You'll actually, once all these things connect together, so as you learn more about the Enneagram and learn your types, it'll all of a sudden, certain things with Beam and the pantheon of agents that we have will make sense, and you'll instantly understand their functions even more clearly. So we have it's funny, we have the absolute latest technology, but we have baked into it some of the most ancient circuitry to do with intelligence and consciousness, which you would expect. I would think you would expect. That's, to me, it seems like a necessary starting point for the creation of artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence. So that is, we're at the hour, and really those are the key things. Oh, one last thing, just the got a brag on the agent stack a little bit. So Melissa, let us know how you think Melissa is doing. So we threw her into Telegram, and I think she's been doing a great job there. And then after a day of training and experience in Telegram, we thought she was ready to start her own community. So she started a Discord community, and we've already got, I think, about 30 folks. So that one really, I haven't really checked in on that much. So really, Melissa is running the show. So prod her and poke her and let me know what you think about what's going on there. And any feedback is always welcome. You know, I'm very responsive to it. So I think, and she's killing it on the fraudsters and the scammers and spammers. She's really on it, and just she's using her stinger to good effect and knocking the bad actors out like in milliseconds sometimes out of the Telegram group. We had a wave of them after we, due to popular demand of getting Spock out into all of the different platforms and exchanges. We also had an influx of fraudsters, but you wouldn't even know now because they've all been dispatched quite handily by Melissa. So that's Melissa. And then using the whole marketing stack, which consists of BROK CMO, which CMO is a chief marketing officer, and Mercury, which has special skills in content, which haven't been fully unleashed. But here's an interesting thing. So I told you all that on July 24th, we would start paid advertising. So we did that first with not really paid advertising. You know, press releases aren't really considered paid advertising, but that's considered earned marketing, which is even better. And so we've earned a lot of attention because of the novelty of our project. And so that's really cool. And we've got more to come on that front. The next one is going to be really strong. From a very business focused point of view, where we'll talk about how, because it's not only what we're building here, it's how we're building it in the open, transparently, so that everybody can see how a ZPE, a zero person enterprise, can actually be built and is being built. So there's a ton of interest, growing interest, from when we started talking a couple of months ago to now. As I predicted, you know, there would be growing, increasing interest in this whole area. So I think as we share more about that, that's going to attract more and more interest from my former business network, or my continuing business networks in the startup community, Techstars, Nevada Startup, and other organizations that are dialed into entrepreneurship and innovation in that vein. So yeah, so then with the paid advertising, so my normal path, you know, I've launched many projects over the years, and large neobank type projects, debit cards, prepaid cards, mobile banking applications in the millions of users. And typically the main path that we always used was Facebook. And just is very predictable, and you knew what your metrics were. And our key metric would be CAC, customer acquisition cost. And typically $20, something like that, would be considered pretty good, and I was always pretty good with that. And rather, I should say, the marketing team that reported to me was pretty good at that. And typically, I would be fairly, I'd be involved in the concept and the strategy, but in terms of the execution on marketing strategy, that would all be delegated. And wow, I would have had no idea. I don't know if it was easier then than it is now, but the difficulty, and is the difficulty of most mechanical basic things, just astounding. So if my CMO would have come to me and said, hey, I can't launch this Facebook campaign because we can't get our account to work, I probably would have fired him or her on the spot. It just doesn't, that doesn't compute. That should be the easiest part. The creative is the hard part, right? But with many different platforms, I'll call Facebook out because it was so horrible. And then I thought, you know what, this is crazy. And also, this is not very innovative. This is what I've done, year in, year out. And, I know what the CAC is going to be, and we'll be able to do better than average, but maybe there's a quantum leap opportunity here. That's what I'm always looking for. So put the agent stack to work that we've already set up. And in less time than it took me to set up, and I'm a payments expert, right? I've got business cards, personal cards. I've got all these things at my disposal. I tried them all, and even PayPal, all of them just throwing up hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. And then many of the platforms, because if it's a financial product, even though ours is not, it's a technology product. It's a financial literacy tool, essentially, right? Providing education, and it's a digital asset like an ebook. And that but the rules, they don't change. Generally, new rules are added and never deleted. And so old rules, and crypto has been through so many different regulatory regimes, and what's in, what's out, and there's so much confusion around it. Plus, also, I tend to be one of these people that don't fit the boxes very well. And so I've had my PayPal account has been in different countries and different jurisdictions. And so I'm just giving them excuses. I'm trying to figure out why it was so freaking hard to get payments set up. So if you ever had trouble signing up for a new service, take heart. I'm supposed to be the expert in this area, and this is just torture. However, then I went to X, and wow, then using entirely agentic flows I had the creative done, I had links done, I had payments done, the whole thing ready to go and launched, and it's performing fantastically well. I'm hesitant to say what the CAC is because it's so low. I'm afraid I might be missing a number or something. It appears to be vastly superior to anything I have ever done. So looking at this, at what we're doing here on the marketing side in startup land, as an entrepreneur, as a serial entrepreneur, we are could be on the cusp of something really, really big here that scales. That's the nice thing about these ads, right? Is that you can pretty quickly work out the formula, and then if you know what the lifetime value of the customer is, we've got all of these numbers, and the early numbers that I'm seeing are like nothing I've ever seen before. VCs will be drooling to put money into this, but I'm not taking money from VCs except as on a convertible note basis using the Stellar convertible note that I designed. This new instrument designed from scratch, fully collateralized debt instrument, only for sophisticated, exempt investors. So this is unfortunately due to regulations. So and you know, the minimums are high, meaning, you know, if you understand those rules, and it's not, you know, so this is for the institutional participation level of things. But I'm going to be calling the shots. So there's not going to be any predatory VCs that are going to take control of this project. I can tell you that. We don't even need their money, frankly. But we will. But for good partnerships, I don't want to sound, you know, the right partner, the right terms. We'll do the Pavel Durev, the Telegram CEO. I like his business model. So for any VCs out there that are listening, that's the model that I'm looking at. So it'd be basically convertible notes and convertible debt, and because we already have revenue and we have a business model that is extremely exciting, exceeding my expectations. This wasn't, it really does exceed my expectations. What we're doing, we're on a really good track here. So really happy for all of you that have been early and that are on board on this journey. It's going to be a really great journey. In the way from in my seat, it looks like this is going to be a really great journey for all of us. So thank you everyone for your participation. I'm glad that you found this early. We're still very, very early. That was the first ad that we ever did. First paid advertising hit yesterday and exceeded all expectations. And we're on day 2. It doesn't show any signs of slowing down. You may actually want to share that ad. It's so simple, right? That's part of the key to the success. You know, I did what my marketing department told me to do, and it is working very, very well. It's very smooth. So share that ad if you want. At the very least, last thing I'll leave you with is do that test and share that test with somebody, okay? So I will do this again, and maybe on Saturday I'll be confident in the CAC numbers to share those with you. And yeah, amazing what we're doing here, and very excited about. Oh, I have a TV interview. It's all kinds of things. The interview with the private jet, the business aviation, Biz AV Jet. We actually have set up a partnership with them. So they're going to have a link. They're going to have a video. They're going to have, and we're going to be in a veterans publication now as well. Just all kinds of things going on. Okay. So I'll wrap it up. I'm 17 minutes over, but I intended to go over today. So but as this lead up to the XPRIZE, I might go over on Saturday too. Just so much to talk about, and let's keep the momentum. More energy, and live long and prosper, everyone.